Zaheer, yes, disappointment for Team India, but it went down to a first victory ever in a T20 international for Australia over India in Sydney.
Well, finally, you look at the game and say that, fielding has been the differentiator, and that is something which has been happening for a while. But, this kind of loss just puts everything in focus in a very distinct and clear way. I think that's what happened with the Indian team today. You've kind of set that chase up really well. Virat batted brilliantly. You had the support. Maybe those middle order couple of wickets which Swepson got in that middle phase put more pressure on Hardik to walk in at that stage. But I think if you look at the game closely, just the fielding was a big differentiating factor. Something which Indian team needs to look into. Something which Indian team really needs to get serious about. Because small margins, these things go a long way.
2 boundaries between 7 and 15. But just one aspect I'd like to point out, Michael Vaughan. Yes, Smith dropped a sitter, but they made up for it with some really good catching towards the end, including Daniel Sams. But the 15th over, when you've got Virat Kohli and Hardik Pandya batting, looking to go big, concedes just 2, AJ tie. How match-changing was that?
Yeah, huge. I mean, you can look at many kind of overs, balls, scenarios of the 40 overs that we saw, and India were just off it today. They weren't quite at the best. Virat was near his best with the batting hand. He needed just one more cameo around him. But I totally agree with what Zach said. I was going to make the same point that I think this can be good for India to finally accept that they do have a fielding problem. For them to go on and win a World Cup and to put a prolonged run of wins together when it really counts in a World Cup on home shore next year, they can't keep fielding like the way that they are doing, because they've got to be honest, they're up against an Australian side that has been missing some key players. Yes, India are missing a couple of key players in Rohit Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah, but I wouldn't put those two in the category of outstanding fielders. It's the majority of the team that you're seeing here today will be around for that World Cup, so they've just got to get better. They've got to get better in the catches more consistently. They've got to manoeuvre in the field more so. I know they play a lot of cricket, and the intensity levels are hard to keep up all the time, but for India to go on and win the T20 World Cup, this should be the day where they go, okay, finally we have to accept that we have to do something about our fielding, because the bowling aspect of the variations are fine, the batting combinations are fine. You get Rohit Sharma back in there, of course he's going to add a wow factor to the team, but the fielding will have to improve. They'll be very lucky to win a World Cup fielding to the standard that we've seen in this series.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. Zaheer made it earlier about sweeping it under the carpet. And I think the fact that India have come out second best in this third game, yes, a dead rubber, means that at least there will be some focus on that. They'll look and say, okay, what cost us this game? And that's certainly what it was, because the batsmen made their best effort and they came out second best. So I think you will want to reiterate that point at the end of the white ball summer.
Yes, and because it's been happening for a while now, you can just move past things. If it's just a one-off incidents, you can always say that okay, these things happen in the game. But when it's happening consistently, that is the alarming sign. That also shows that there is not enough seriousness have been given to the matter, and that is something which will surely come on the foreground after a match like this, because important games, this can cost you, and you don't want that to happen in a big tournament. You've seen it with the ODI World Cup in 19. That number 4 position everyone has been talking about. That has been the discussion pretty much through and through the year, or maybe a couple of years leading up to the World Cup. But it was just kind of swept under the rug, thinking that okay, top 3 always going to fire. But when it comes to that particular day, when it doesn't happen, what are your answers? And I think fielding is something which is in your control, which is the third dimension of the game. At the moment, Indian team is just looking at batting and bowling as discipline. They're not giving enough importance to fielding as a third discipline, which can change the result of the game.